first couple assignments. The very first assignment was about abstraction and seeing relationships in the environment. For the next one, we zoomed in a little bit, right? Our camera, the mechanism which we use to see is much more smaller, more focused, tighter. So this next step, we want to look even closer. And now we're not thinking about abstraction at all. We just want to see detail. Okay? So for this assignment, your goal is fidelity, meaning you want exact detail, exact replication. So you're going to make an exact model, an exact replica of your piece of fruit, your vegetable, using paper and watercolor. That's it. So you want to make an exact size replica, 100% the same size. You want to look at the texture. You want to look at the color. You want to look at the smallest details. So your goal is to make an object out of paper that looks exactly the same as your fruit or vegetable. Okay? So, what does that mean? You need to think about form, of course, shape. So, paper is flat. Your fruit, your vegetables are round, right? They're three-dimensional. They have curves. This has no curves. Okay? So you need to understand your material in order to start working and carving and sculpting your shape. So paper, you can get it wet. You can tear it, you can crumple it up. You can give it texture. You can use the paper to make a model of your form. And then you want to use color, you want to use the watercolors to start to replicate and start to duplicate the textures and the colors that you see. Okay? That's all there is to it.
Next one question.
Yes?
Which way from making the picture by painting or anything?
Well, you should think about your texture. The best way to represent your texture is always going to be through texture. So for example, with paper, you're able to manipulate the surface, right, by scoring it. Right? So now, all of a sudden, you have a texture that might match this texture. Right? If this is your texture, how do you replicate that? Maybe you do the same thing, you do dots. Right? Or maybe it's better to just crumple it up and spend 10 minutes just making the piece of paper soft. Maybe that represents your texture better. You need to look at the form. And this assignment is not conceptual. It's only about just focusing on the details, understanding the form, and then thinking about how to make that form, that shape, that texture with your piece of paper.